afterwards. Now it starts. I guess some privacy settings on his account or something.
That's crazy.
So that's why it was not working.
Okay. Can we start?
3 points.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry for that interruption. Go ahead,
Yeah.
please.
Okay. So we are introducing QRY. It's a project that we presented earlier, I think 1 to 2 years, and we've been working on it. And today we're ready to launch what we are calling the Query Hub. And the idea for it is to be a dynamic endpoint selection for basically any API. We'll be working with node pools developed by Sentinel, um, and they will be checking an endpoint information in real time in query, and the teams that are running infrastructure, in this case Hyperion, but also will be available for Chain API and Atomic API and other types of APIs soon. So the teams that are running this infrastructure, they will share endpoint information in real time, and also the availability of their services, right? So any team that's running it can connect. Hyperion is launching an update, and now has the ability to connect directly to Query Hub and send informations. It's just about setting up in your own operation, and it will show there, and people will be able to see which nodes are online and their latencies and stuff. Igor will present that in more detail. Um, but the interesting thing is that we are starting up as this hub, but the idea is to evolve to a full ecosystem that's incentivized and decentralized, right? So the idea is that uh, we as operators, we can register um, to fulfill the calls by the users that will subscribe. The idea is that we have portals that facilitate, you see an early implementation of a front end. But the idea is that we have front ends that will facilitate for users to subscribe to plans there. So they will be paying a subscription fee to the blockchain and connecting directly to operators and validating their subscription, right? Of course, you have already have a blockchain account. We'll validate that signature and the public key that you register with your subscription, and then you connect direct to operators that will be able to verify that subscription on chain and fulfill the calls, right? And also for developers that can connect new sources and keep on connecting sources and developing the ecosystem, right? So the idea here again is that for the users, they'll be able to access all the operators on the ecosystem using only one client and abstracting all the complexity of choosing, of selecting the endpoints using Sentinel. And for the operators, they will be able, and for users, there are users that want to pay subscription for a plan and just don't have this kind of option because from the operator standpoint, it's kind of costly and risky to set up an operation that will provide the kind of availability that's needed by someone that's hiring this, and they will be able to subscribe to all the operators and all the infrastructure teams on the network at the same time, and making sure that you have a fallback strategy that's already implemented in the client, right? Um, so we already have ranked high in daily usage if we get all the teams that are running initially Hyperion and Chain API for Wax, but it will also be available for all other chains that are running Hyperion or have Antelope, um, use Antelope Chain API. And the idea that is that this is open to much more teams that are actually running infrastructure that just want to participate in different capacities on this new ecosystem, right? So right now we are launching the hub on next week on the 16th of October. We'll be launching the project. It's still, of course, not ready to be implemented on chain, but the idea is that the teams that are operating or that are willing to participate, you can join, and we will organize and show what we have and how we're moving on. For anyone that's already running Hyperion, you can register at provider.query, which is QRY, dot network. Join this Telegram network. We will send all the information there. And yeah, anchor logging only at the moment. And join the Telegram group, and we will send more news on query on the all hands on everything that's happening. Now I'll yield to Igor that will show how you can actually register at Hyperion, subscribe, and it's how it's working already. We already have some instances there.
Okay. Yeah, just to answer Nick. We are using an off-chain signature for any chain. So we will be checking if your account is a producer on the chain just for kind of an anti-spam method. So, and since we're not submitted a transaction, we are only supporting income for now. The idea is we can also put a script for the command line if you don't have if you or you don't want to set up your account keys on Anchor. But if you don't need to put your active key, it can be, I think you can sign with any key that is registered on your official account on the blockchain you want to log in with. So if the reason is not using the your active key on the wallet, then it can be any key. Okay, let me share here.
One interesting thing for all the teams that are joining
Just
this, you get an automatic bot um,
yeah,
that will alert if anything goes wrong with your operation. So you're also connecting your Hyperion to that real-time alert bot on your infrastructure.
yes. Can I share? What's going on? I'm trying to share, but okay. Okay. So this is what we have now. Um, the version 3.5.0 for Hyperion is live with support for the hub. The only needed configuration is okay. The only needed configuration in Hyperion is one instance key. I will show the workflow here. And also, as Canales mentioned, Charles from US42, I don't know if he's in the call, he developed Node Pulse. We are using Node Pulse as a proof of concept and the first client that is compatible with Query. So Node Pulse is already, I think he put on the README here. Yeah, it has an option called Use Query Hub that will fetch data from the hub and also merge that with the other options that they provide and his own list of node that's validated through the BPJSON. The difference is that the hub is not validator like the other validators on Wax. Is not supposed to be a validator. It's a self-publishing tool, so the tools like Hyperion or eventually any other API that gets compatibilized here. Those are red now, but they will be able to push data later. Those APIs, they will they will publish several information about their metadata, about what they are serving, and also statistics. Like for example, we have here, this is for let's see, walks, 7,000 requests in the last hour. We can have a little chart here. This chart is a little unpopulated because we are resetting the the database that frequently now for development, but this will be more populated later. Um, and those informations, for example, if you have streaming enable, specific features for that API can be shown here as well. And then each of the APIs will have a different type of guide on how to use it, and this is to be worked on as well with the developers of that API. So just an example here, you open a quick guide for the user with examples in different languages. This is just like a placeholder thing, but like it's a working example, but using the API that you selected. And this will become more useful when you include the user the keys and the query accounts later on. Okay, what more? We have another types of view here, and also a map with real-time availability. So the information here comes directly from the nodes, from the Hyperion or other APIs, and it's full real time. So when some Hyperion goes offline, for example, I will disable our Django indexer here as an example. Um, the moment I stop it, we have just the indexer going offline, so it's possible to check for that. And if we stop the whole API, it will also go red immediately. And at that point, it already sent me a notification on Telegram. So it's full real time. There's no delay for any kind of checks because there are no checks. The proof of the connection being live to the hub is the thing that pushes the notifications and everything to the clients. It's real time only. We only store the API usage on the server, which is not stored because it's only 1 point here. This is why it not appear. 1 point per hour. Okay. Let me go quickly to the registration. So for the registration, if somebody didn't enter here, I will do as an example for walks, but the walks I'm already registered. So let me see if I can do walks for another account. 1 second. Okay, so when you enter the first time under registration, you can register at multiple chains at once, and then you can switch here. We keep a shared token, and then this shared token can be used to log in with multiple chains and manage your instance in multiple chains. And once the smart contract is published on chain, then this will be different because this provided information will be on chain, except for Telegram and any private information used for notification, for example, like Telegram or an email in the future or whatever we decide to use as a notification platform. So basically, you put your information here. Here you select the logo for the dashboard, and you also select the location here. It will preview the location on the map. and then you set up your Telegram handle. To start with the bot, you just click the link and run start on the bot, so the bot can recognize, and we understand that you are authorizing it to communicate with you. And once you do this, I will log in with the producer. This is already registered. Okay. Then once you do this, you go to instances. So when you add an instance, you can generate these keys that are used for asymmetric cryptography off chain. They are not account keys. You can generate them here, or you can generate them CLIOs. Those are standard Antelope keys. And then you will select the data set that you want to register based on the chain that you selected. So let me do Hyperion here, and then I will put another API that's not the one registered. And this private key is the one that you put in your Hyperion configuration. Okay, so you can register this, and then it will appear here. Even in the registration here, you already can, if you refresh this, you can see if your instance is online and since when it was connected. Okay, now on Hyperion, if let's go to Hyperion history. So the main branch will be updated once we have more providers testing the 3.5.0, and then we'll publish a tag. But it's pretty stable. This branch, this version has been tested for months. It's a very big update because it's using TypeScript strict mode, so it has lots and lots and lots of type checking for errors. And also, we updated everything, every dependency to the latest version in this, even things that were breaking dependencies before. Now everything is fixed, so we could include the Query Hub publisher. On Hyperion, the only thing that you need to do is go to your configuration. I already put an example here. And you down in the bottom or whatever you need to put it, you want to put it, you can do hub and then instance key. And here you put the private key. And once that is done, you can restart the API. And the API will communicate, will connect to the indexer. So Hyperion indexer has an indexer controller, which is used for repairs and other things. And you can have multiple APIs connect to the same indexer, but if you have multiple servers with APIs, the only important thing is that you register multiple instances, because each connection can only be secured by one instance key. So you cannot have, it will fail to start if you have the same instance key in two different machines, two different processes running the API. Okay, and for those who are interested in implementing, we will have like a separate guide on how to implement the publishing protocol to other softwares. But for now, if you want to check how it's done, we have this base publisher. It's a TypeScript class here. It can be used pretty generically. It has all the needed communication to do the handshake with the hub, and also push the required information for the service. So just to reply to Yanis here, he asked if we have some way to indicate if the node is full or partial. Yes. So all this extra data, which we call the dataset metadata, it will be available in a button that's not here, which shows the entire metadata of the server. But it can be collected depending on which service the instance is running. And we also have an API for this. So if you go to api.hub.query, here you can see supported chain, but this is not the important part. You can go to live instances, and then on live instances, if you pass your chain ID, you will see exactly which Hyperions, for example, this is for Hyperion, this is for walks and Hyperion. You can also pass a data set here. So data set Hyperion v2, it will filter only Hyperions. And this is important because this is actually live at this time. So it's not checked, it's real time. And you can see the uptime here when the connection started for that node. And also this will reply with the metadata from the server. And we will add more information here, especially about the range that that service provided, not only if it's full or partial, but which range they have. So if you have needs for specific block range, then you know which servers will have this automatically without having to test them. Also the limits for API queries and everything. How this usage per hour is calculated? Yes, so usage per hour is an internal metric that Hyperion has been serving for almost a year now on the endpoint, which is stats.get API usage. So this endpoint here, it sums it at every request that's processed, it goes to Redis and it's incremented on this type of range, and then we basically check the sum of all the 200 requests. So only requests that are successfully served will be counted on that measure there. So Hyperion collects that internally, and then it publishes at each hour to the Query Hub.
Will that get reset somehow, or
Wha-
when you
reset.
restart the API? Or
No. This is this is written on Redis by Hyperion. So even if you upgrade Hyperion, it will keep the last 7 days of history.
I
This
see.
is internal of Hyperion, and then we relay that information to the hub since it's already processed there.
It's just the last 7 days.
That we store in Redis for Hyperion the last 7 days. Yes.
Okay, cool.
If you need to change that configuration, I think is not possible through the configs, but it's just one parameter in the source if you need to store more time. But I think 7 days is enough for that usage. And we also have specific endpoints for a specific contract usage in terms of get actions. But this is the overall of all requests that goes through the Hyperion web server, so we can use this as a measure of usage, right? And the API load can also be used to filter here. So we have highest API load to show the API load that is higher here. This is also real time. And if you filter by chain, it also works. So yes, so this can be used to select the last loaded API that have the data that you need as well. I think that's it for now. We'll be working in this actively, so it will be updated frequently with more features.
Awesome. I had a second question about the usage per hour calculation when you flip the card to see the details, the detailed statistics.
Here, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So it says usage X requests per hour, right?
Right.
And that means like
this
globally the request.
No, this is globally. What do you mean globally? This is the last bucket, last hour. Is because here this model, this chart design is only pointing one plot here because I restarted this recently.
Okay.
This is
But
the last
it's
point. So if it goes higher, the last point will be higher, then will be a line here. Don't know if I refresh.
all right, and that means like total requests
Oh,
on
now
that
we have
Hyperion
another
node.
point. So here, for example, on mainnet on EOS, I had 68,000 in the previous hour, and last hour 79,000.
Cool. And that's really total requests on that Hyperion node.
Yes, total requests going through that service. That's the idea here. So
Cool.
if you have like if you want to see the different specific requests, then you can go through the stats API usage. Then that will drill down by which endpoint was actually requested.
Awesome. Nick is adding another question. This adds a reverse proxy to the Hyperion so it can track stuff, I assume, or does the server self-report? Do you
No,
just
it's not.
count
Yes,
somewhere?
yeah, it's not a reverse proxy. So the query does not do any request to any Hyperion. It's the private key that you use is used to sign messages, and then you sign that information with your account. So the Hyperion self reports the information to the hub.
Cool.
Because with this design, you can have the information inside private networks that and have like being published from nodes that are not don't have public IPs or are not made to be exposed to the internet. Yes, so they can easily game it. Yes, you can game it, but again, as I said, this is being signed by your producer account. It will be possible to check. You can put a service online here. It will be online. It's not being made to replace any validation tool, but again, it will be harder to it not be hard, but it will not make sense to game this with the whole platform that will going to come later. That's the thing. This is a statistics hub for the platform. Is not being meant to be created as a validation tool or something to rank or analyze validators or guilds on walks. It's a tool to help the developer experience and help reach the APIs. But for example, if they use node pools or actually any client implementing this, the client itself will try to connect, and then we'll have another endpoint to connect if that one is actually faking its availability to the hub. But for example, you need to publish more things. So you need to publish recent blocks with other information that can be cross-checked across other publishers for the same chain. There are lots and lots of layers into this, so it will be harder for you to actually fake a provider being online without actually being online.
Cool. I see version 3.5.0, which seems not published yet on the GitHub repository, right? So
Yes,
this is an upcoming
yes,
version.
as I said, people that want to connect to test, we are waiting a little bit on more providers that are testing this to see if they have any issue to upgrade from the current main branch, the current Hyperion. Just give that some time, and then we'll publish a tag based on this version and make it like the official stable. But we are already running it on Wax, EOS, and Jungle, and it's fine for now.
Okay. Anything we should be aware of in the upgrading process?
No. This version again is made to be a full upgrade of all dependencies, but we didn't add any features to the configuration besides the query hub. So the only thing you need to add if you want to publish your data is the query API key, instance key. If you don't add it, it will just disable the publish completely, and it will not communicate to the hub with the hub.
There are some dependencies depending on what version of Hyperion you had previously. So I think I had 3.9, which is quite a common one that's out there. Had to upgrade Node, and I had to upgrade Erlang and Rabbit in order to get it to work.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, no breaking change to the indexer format or
No,
the
yeah, that
configuration.
was all fine. Yeah.
I think the developer library, it's something like that we are using node pools as the example here. So this would be like the first implementation of what could be a developer library. Then it will be like an abstract way, because here you can just pass the chain ID instead of passing an endpoint, and it will use the hub to fetch the chain ID. But the idea is to work on this kind of tooling to help the developer life easier.
And that's exactly the idea, Nick, to completely abstract the API endpoint selection. And even as we are running multiple services, you can have all those services at the same place there, the same library, right? So you just don't care, you're just pulling data from wherever.
I wonder
Excellent.
if it makes sense to require all the APIs on the guild score sheets to be registered with that hub. Any objections to this?
Is there any overhead? If any, how much?
No. I think the overhead would be way above the number of producers we have on. We are using micro WebSockets in C++, so it's a very lightweight connection library, and that's in the end the server it's very capable, so it's a large server, and then I believe we can handle probably thousands of publishers at the same time and hundreds of or thousands of clients connecting to it, and so I don't think it's an issue for this.
I don't know which information it publishes back besides like the request, but if it's all anonymous and just main info, I don't see. Maybe there's a BP that has objections to seeing how much use there.
Yeah,
that's
what I mean. I don't know if you check in Hyperion, the place which is the code is the base publisher here. You can check everything that's been sent here. So we basically send the server metadata, which are the features and limits that they configure in that Hyperion server. Then we publish API usage, and we publish the indexer status for now. We have a generic publish here, which is used for like specific things like the current head block and other things. But for example, if you have like a private IP address or something else, this doesn't go through. We don't send the full config. We just send a specific part of the config related to the features that the hub uses, which is on here. So this type of metadata is what is sent. Besides that, only real-time information.
And how do you verify that a chain API or atomic assets instance is valid?
So yes, so right now, if you register atomic assets or chain API, it will do anything because you don't have a way to put that that instance key there. But this is our next goal. So we are going to have like a reverse proxy plugin for HA proxy or NGINX that does the job of monitoring the availability of your chain APIs. And for atomic assets, it can be the same method as is being used for Hyperion. It can be a library inside the API that does the same kind of communication.
All right.
So the goal
And,
here, Jan, is that we are not going to develop ourselves all the tools. We are doing like an open community that is going to develop their own tools. If somebody comes with their own compatible data set, right now this is off chain, but when this will be on chain, that will be a group of accounts that an MSIG that will approve that data set, and then the data set will be included here on the available data sets services. And with that, then the instance keys can be generated for them, and they can be used to publish information. I don't know if Canelo want to explain something.
Yeah, it does. So what I was going after is Light API has become a widely supported and used API on Wax 2.
Yes.
And
So yes,
it would be nice to have that also
we
in there.
were announcing this as Hyperion Hub, but it's not Hyperion Hub. We are doing it as a very generic platform for all the services that run on chain on the chain to be able to publish here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can add IPFS as well and stuff like that.
Yes. But for example, I did just a proof of concept that could work for Chain API, which is basically a little script that at every like 5 minutes or 5 seconds, sorry, it does a get info check, gets the latest block number to see if it's increasing, if the lib is moving, if it's in sync, and then you could eventually use something like this to publish. But ideally, you want a more integrated solution that will check your configuration, fetch some important information from the configuration, and also monitor the usage, which is important too, so we can balance load through all the providers.
Something that might be good is write up a way to provide the info that your reporting thing does, so that people are not forced to run your software to do that part.
Yes.
Security.
Yes,
so if there's an easy way for people to do it themselves, that probably would take away most objections.
Absolutely. We are working with this base publisher in Hyperion to polish the protocol. But as soon as possible, we will like explain how is that how that ended up consolidating the protocol. It's already easy to understand here on the code, the handshake thing and the connection. But then you can implement this in other languages and from whatever software you want as well.
Sorry.
No, just on the incentive part. I mean, right now, if you're providing, you have points with the OEG, of course, so there's some incentivization. But the idea here is that we're going towards an incentivized ecosystem for providers and for developers adding new services here. So it was built to be able to really easily add new services to this hub. So not only Hyperion Chain API, Atomic Assets, but we can have light APIs. You can even have like subgraphs working with that. I don't know if the graph license will allow, but any kind of API can work here, and weather data, financial data, anything can use this kind of the infrastructure that we thought. And the idea is that anyone that's providing will be rewarded, and not only with the subscriptions, but all the initial issuance of tokens of this incentivized ecosystem will go towards operators, developers. There will be no pre-mine, nothing like that. So anyone that, of course, is working and is participating will be at the start, and will have the opportunity to participate on that. So yes, it's incentivized right now by the OEG, but the idea is that we have a kind of second layer of incentivization, and we feel the pain. We are providing those services for free for quite some time, as most of the teams in this call. So if we can provide it for free and still earn something, it's of course better. But yeah, the idea is that.
All right. Any other questions to Tiago or Indigo about that hub, about Hyperion?
On that upgrade to 3.5, do you know how far back you've tested upgrading?
I think from what I upgraded now, the oldest one was 3.1.5, but I'm not sure right now. I think it might have been updated to a different version before. Do you had any issues?
I haven't tackled it yet. I've got
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of what mine
if
is,
you're running
3.9.
3.3, basically if you're running the latest version is the best way to go. But if not, then that situation, that upgrade to Erlang to RabbitMQ, it's important to be done.
Yeah, you said you shoved everything up to the latest version, so that in itself is probably just going to be the painful part. I'm going to have to upgrade everything.
Well, if you've got anything on 16 or 18 Ubuntu, you might have a challenge.
Correct. I'm pretty sure it's still running on Ubuntu 18 because those hadn't quite pushed the limits yet. But anyway, I mean, but I'm also I know I'm on 3.3.9.7, I think is where I'm at.
It should be fine. It should be fine.
Just trying to think of the others because we stumble on them in the channels all the time. Is that, oh, I need to do this upgrade, and they're running 3.1.6. And it's like, oh. So I was just curious how far. So you do think you had done a 3.1 something? Obviously,
I think so. Yes, I know. I have the US cluster here is running on an older Elasticsearch version. So Elasticsearch, the version 7 still works.
Yep.
So that's no problem. You don't need to upgrade Elasticsearch. I had to upgrade RabbitMQ, of course, but Elasticsearch is not needed.
All right. Well,
do one at a time, Marco. Do one at a time.
Well, that's why I have, and Igor, we'll work together on how it's going to represent our farm, because I have 3 Hyperion servers behind one load balancer. So if the indexer breaks, it's going to say, hey, it's down. But there's really 2 others that the proxy is going to be serving. But we'll get to it whenever we get to it. But I'm curious because I don't run a big cluster of servers. I literally run individual siloed servers, just load balanced.
Yeah, for that usage, you should register a different key for each one of them.
Yes, but it's going to be the same API.
It's okay. It's okay. No problem. You can use the same API for all of them. we will think about. I mean, when we have the full query infrastructure online, this will not make much sense to use. But right now, for the hub, we could aggregate by the API endpoint. So at least on the interface, you can understand that there are multiple instances serving the same public endpoint.
My super duper leap developing process was if you just put a distinct on the result set, it always would show up. That way it wouldn't be triplicated because I have three indexers, but as long as one of them's online, it would work. But anyway, we'll work with how exactly these farms report themselves. But I'm excited. Looks a lot better than the old version. Used to be white.
I didn't understand what was the Nick you sent on the chat. What you mean by no way to direct connect to that API?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, if Michael has one way to talk to their APIs and it's basically round robin, he can report 2 up, 1 down, but it won't. You won't be able to ensure that you get to those points unless his load balancer gets smarter and just not use those down points. So
No, but I think it's the other way around. He will, in my view, he will publish 3. Let's say he has 3 instances behind the load balancer. He will add all the 3 instances, and those APIs, the servers, will keep the connection alive with the hub relay.
yeah,
So
sure.
if-
But the hub will show 2 APIs that are fine, and then when you connect to them, you'll still might get an error because you could end up on the 3rd one that's have an issue.
Oh, but
Well, no, they all-
ideally the load balance has a health check.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, they're all broadcasting the same address. So you literally would either see wax.eosusa.io, wax.eosusa, wax.eosusa.
But that's what I was saying. We could group
Union,
them.
You
We
know,
could group them by the API endpoint, by the public endpoint that they are providing. So if you have this situation, at least we can add an interface, some type of cluster situation there.
my thought would just be if the response just did a distinct, there's no reason to list duplicate values, in my opinion. If it's offline, it's offline. But if there's one that's online, wax.eosusa.io. Anyway,
Yeah. Yes,
we'll tackle it when we get there. But like I say, I know I'm a little
It makes
different than
sense.
some of them. And did I hear you say you were publishing an HA proxy health check library?
No, the goal, I didn't start it on that, but the goal is to develop an HA proxy library to act as a publisher. So you add your instance key to HA proxy, and then HA proxy will do the communications and the statistics.
Oh, instead of the actual indexer?
Instead of the actual API. It will need a way to connect to the indexer, because your indexer, it already exposes a local WebSocket connection that's used for controlling. So you have a way to open, or you have a way that multiple APIs can connect to the same indexer. But in your case, if you have multiple indexers, it's because, like, I mean, Hyperion was designed to be used in an Elasticsearch cluster where you have more APIs accessing the same cluster, and not
Right.
like different clusters behind the load balancer.
I broke it in ways you told me were impossible, so I gave up on clustering. Right? Only funny because it's true. Anyway, but yes, I'm excited about it. I mean, just if anything, to
But a
help.
part of the HA proxy is a good solution for the chain API, because it's common for everyone to have multiple chain API instances behind load balancers, and then you don't need to have a specific software in all the nodes to monitor all the nodes. You have one in the load balance that will get the overall load of API load of that provider, instead of
Right.
individual.
It's always been quirky, and the node will respond but be frozen or kind of in weird states. I was also going to say, when you do finally pop the hood, I know CC has scripts. I don't know if they're libraries particularly, but he had some of those HA proxy health checks to try to help talk to the back ends and then automatic, instead of just a ping or get request and did it respond? Yes, then it must be up. But anyway, I think has put some time and effort into it. But yes, it would be awesome if that thing was also able to intelligently understand the health endpoint and handle all of that for you.
Yeah.
And I vote for HA proxy. Sorry, Nginx guys.
Don't you use Apache?
That's the web server. I mean, I do have Apache
No, not
server.
Apache. HA proxy.
Yeah, but this is the front end, reverse proxy on the front end. But
Yeah.
no, I'm an IIS guy. I'm Microsoft.
Does that product even exist still?
Yes, and actually, ChatGPT 4.0 kind of likes IIS apparently. So I do have a Windows server for our AI project.
Well, thanks, guys. That was a fantastic update, and the progress that's been made is pretty impressive.
One last thing that I forgot to. I think I said that would be possible in the previous call about the state sync script. I need to put more documentation on it, but it's already live on this version 3.50. If you go to this script sync accounts, this script here will be able to synchronize all the balances from all contracts. So it detects the contracts on chain. It's fetch all scopes for all contracts and make sure that that's in sync with Elasticsearch. So if you're running partial Hyperion, you can run that with your node stopped, and then once that's complete, you can start from the block before you started. So you make sure you have all the blocks, and then you keep going sync with that. And using this, you can basically be sure that you are serving get tokens, get stop holders, and get the special get account version from Hyperion with the updated state for the tables.
You might have just single-handedly fixed up all my validation errors. Because if you have partial history, you don't have some of the accounts that they look at.
Yes, now you have. We did a test on EOS mainnet. It took 2 hours without any optimization. It was basically I let it run. We could parallelize it more with more nodes to fetch data from, but 2 hours is fine for like very, very large chain. So walks should take about the same time.
And it's just stepping through all contracts that match the standard token table.
Match exactly this from to quantity memo thing for the accounts table. If it doesn't match, is this match here? If it doesn't match, then it ignores it. So for now, is tracking balances, but this is what's important for the token state APIs that we have here. So get tokens and get stop holders. We plan to later add this also to sync get voters and get proposal and links and all the others, but those will be way quicker than this because the data is not as big as all the token contracts. We'll have documentation how to run that later on.
Do we want to stop the recording here?
That's cool. Yep.
Okay.